Hello everyone and welcome to Canteen Cup. My name is Scott. Hope everybody's doing well today. Today we're going to do something inside instead of outside. And that is I have a recipe for a neosporin substitute. And it's good for a couple reasons. One, I think it's probably a little healthier for you. I think some of the benefits of this formulary might be even a little better than neosporin. And a lot of this stuff is pretty easy to get a hold of. So the base of this is comfrey, and comfrey is a very good herb. I think a lot of people take it internally, but it is mildly toxic, so I would not suggest that. It does work well when applied topically, in other words, like on the skin. And so that's where this comes in. I think one of its nicknames is bone knit. It helps heal bones. So another option or another use for this formula here is that you could rub it on sore joints, aches, and pains, and it'll help those, as well as using it like neosporin. Again, some people do take comfrey as a tea. I do not, and so therefore my suggestion is not to use comfrey in a tea. However, topically, I think you do fine. Just don't use it for extended periods of time. There is an alkaloid in it that attacks your liver. So long term, even topically, may not be a good idea. But however, for your little nicks and scratches, cuts and pains, bone, bruises, even bone breaks, it works well. All right, so the start of this is I have made an infusion of comfrey and olive oil, and what that means is I've taken this jar, which is now empty, and I had filled it about up to here with dried comfrey, and then I filled the rest of the jar up with olive oil, and I let it sit for about 2 months, shaking it gently once or twice a day. Now, an infusion you allow in the sun. In other words, I put mine on my windowsill. If I was making a tincture, which is out of alcohol, I keep that in the cupboard, in the shade, cool, dry shade. So, but I don't make tinctures out of comfrey because I don't plan on taking them internally. So I've just emptied this out. So what am I going to do? I am going to get my another batch going because it takes about 2 months for this to go. And then all I do is take this trying not to make a mess here. All right. And this comfrey I got from Star West Botanicals. It's organic. However, I think comfrey grows about everywhere, and you can put it in your yard. It's also a good nitrogen fixer for your garden. So just to show you, I've got about that much dried comfrey in there. Now I'm going to fill this up with olive oil. And I use, I don't get real particular about it, but I typically buy a brand like Pompeii or Bertolli, a name brand. I'm not always sure about the other brands with no name. I'm sure they're okay, but You know, when something that takes a couple months to percolate properly, you really don't want to throw out 2 months worth of work. And so what I do is I fill this up. I fill it up pretty high because it's gonna, some of this will, the air will get out and some of it will. Shake it a little bit. And then I put the same lid on it. And just shake it a few times just to get everything kind of mixing. And it'll absorb and loosen up over time. So there it goes. It just takes a little. There. All right. And now I'll just stick this on the countertop out of the way. I'll change the date later on that. So now, this is what I got out of that pint mason jar. So I strained it once. I'm going to go ahead and strain it again. And this is about 8 ounces. And there will probably be some little bits, in my mixture, but I'm not worried about it. It's all good stuff. All right, so that's about approximately 8 ounces. And when you get yours done, if you don't get quite 8 ounces, well, you can either go with what you got, or you can add a little extra olive oil. It's not going to dilute it that much. All right. So I've got it in here. And then what's next is I'm going to take it over to the stove and I'll move the camera and reset it up. I'll do that off the air so you don't get all the dizziness of me flipping this thing around. I do want to take the time and talk about my little green book. This is a book. It's kind of like my survival book. I have all sorts of information here, all bits and pieces. Water purification, things like plant identification that I cut and paste. I've got survival skills, how to start fires, intelligence gathering. I have a lot of formulas for different remedies, homeopathic remedies in here. And I update this book regularly and I keep it on my desk. And just like today, I'm using this book today for this recipe because I have it in here. The idea behind this book is this is my personal survival book that has things I need. And if times get bad or I have to leave the house, this book is going with me. So that being said, this is made by Right in the Rain. It's got waterproof pages so they won't deteriorate if they get wet. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put this on pause for a minute and move the camera over. We're going to go over to the stove and then we'll show you what I put in this thing and how I make it from there. Hang on. All right, we're all back again. What I've done is I've moved my little pot over here. I've got it on my stove. I've got the heat on the lowest I can get it. I have a 1/2 ounce of beeswax, and I got organic beeswax. And I measure that at 1/2 ounce rate, and I'm going to pour that in here. And the idea is I'm going to let this simmer a little bit, cooking it slowly, with the idea that we don't want to get this too hot too quick. While that's going, and this is what I'm going to put it in when it's done. It's a little 1 ounce aluminum tin, and then I can disperse these about the house. I can give them to friends. I can keep them in our packs, and I just like the size. And what I'll do is once this heats up and I get everything else mixed in, then I will pour it into there, and then let them cool. And I may even stick them in the fridge a little bit so it solidifies a little bit faster. Now I recommend that when you are warming up your formulas, your homeopathic medicines, or whatever you want to call them, you know, again, I put no caveats on here, that this is a try at your own risk, that I'm not a doctor or anything, but these are things that I use that seem to work well for me. But like I said, once this beeswax melts, I'll put them in. I'll put the other stuff in. Again, going back to my little green book, I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of tea tree oil or melaleuca oil, and a half a teaspoon of vitamin E, and 5 to 10 drops of clove. And what that'll do is that kind of gives you an antibacterial, probably a little bit of an antifungal. I'm going to turn up the heat just a little bit. Okay, looks like the beeswax is starting to melt. What the beeswax will do is it'll add some consistency, make this a little more paste-like. All right, here we go. Okay, once all this melts, I'm gonna turn the heat back down, and then we'll get the mixing. All right. All right. So I got a little half a teaspoon measure here. I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of vitamin E. There's that. In fact, I may just turn that off. There we go. And then a half a teaspoon of melaleuca or tea tree oil. Okay. And then about 5 to 10 drops of clove. Clove is a very good herbal. It does a lot of things. And so, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll go 8. All right. So what I'll do is I'll stir all that in. It smells good. And then I'll go ahead and start pouring. That's hot. Okay, there's one. And I don't know how many this is going to make. It kind of varies a little bit, so we'll just fill it till I can't fill it anymore. I think these aluminum tins are about 1 ounce. Okay. And I got these aluminum containers off of Amazon, and they were pretty cheap. Probably less than $1 a piece. All right. So we get down to the bottom here. Alright, so I gotta open up a couple more. I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and sign off, and I'll come back when they're finished so you can see what it looks like. I'll put a couple in the fridge and let them kind of harden pretty quick. I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm back again, and I put these in the fridge for about 20 minutes, and they got just nice. Let me show you. That looks like, see, it's all nice and solid. It's not a real heavy paste. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of pressure to rub some on your finger and put somewhere. Doesn't have much of a smell, a little bit, but that's it. I can stick those anywhere. Probably not anywhere real hot. I don't know what it would take to get these things to come, get liquefy again. But anywhere normal room temperature, you're good to go. Stick them in your bug out bag if you don't keep it in the car. Like I said, I'm not sure how much heat it takes to make these liquid again. But great around the house, great for your kids. Just don't eat it. So that's what I got for you today. Everybody stay safe and stay secure. And we'll see you.